The moral socio-sexual circuits. As the caterpillar chooses the fairest leaves to lay her eggs on, so the priest lay his curse on the fairest joys. William Blake. William Blake. Marriage of Heaven and Hell. Good programming makes good neighbors. The social sexual circuits is activated and imprinted as adolescents when DNA signal awakens as the sexual apparatus. The teenager becomes bewildered possessor of a new body and new neural circuits oriented to orgasm and sperm egg fusion. The pubescent human, like any other root animal, lurches about in a state of mating frenzy, every call gasping for sexual object. Imprint vulnerability is acute, and the first sexual signals to turn on the adolescent's nervous system remain fixed for life and forever, define the individual's sexual reality. We should not be surprised, therefore, at various fetishes that are so easily acquired at this sensitive moment. Oh, in fact, we can tell precisely at what period in time a person was sexually imprinted by noting which fetishes continue to turn him or her on. Black garters, booze, cool jazz, and crew cuts define sexual signal of one imprint group generation, just as rigidly as sleeping hacks, marijuana, heavy rocks, and tight jeans define another. As Master and Johnson have pointed out, most sexual dysfunctions are hooked into the nervous system at this adolescent moment of acute imprint vulnerability. Their archetypal case of that a male who about to mate for the first time is in the back seat of a car was traumatized by a policeman flashing light on him and his paramour. The imprint of that ghastly moment was hooked for decades. The male remained important until re-imprinted by Master and Johnson in their clinic. The choices of heterosexuality or homosexuality, brash promiscuity or timid celibacy, etc., are usually imprinted by exactly similar accident at point of imprint vulnerability, just as biosurvival anxiety or security are imprinted by accident in the nursing period, emotional domination or submission by accident in the toddling period, symbolic dexterity or stupidity by accidents of the learning environment. Primitives, so-called, know this pack and surround all the point of imprint vulnerability, which rituals, ordeals, rites of passage, etc., well designed to imprint the desired traits of a well-integrated member of that tribe of at that time. Relics of these imprint ceremonies survive in baptism, confirmation, bar mitzvahs, marriage ceremonies, the masonic racing, etc. It is important to realize that change, genetic, and malice anger are amongst the accidents that create imprint at the point of vulnerability. Most humans do not do to action of this sort imprint exactly the social sexual role demanded by their society. The fourth circuit can almost be called the guilt circuits. Almost everybody, almost everywhere is quite busy hiding their real sexual profile and miming the accepted sex role for their gender in their tribe. In ordinary language, the imprint on the social-sexual circuits is generally called the mature personality or the sexual role. It is the parent in the jargon of transactional analysis. It is amusing to know that Freud recognized the first circuit as the oral stage, the second as the anal stage, and the fourth as the genital stage. He did not notice the third semantic circuit, perhaps because as an obsessive rationalist, he was so absorbed in verbal and conceptual programs that they were invisible to him, as water might be to fishes. As water might be to fishes. Oh. Similarly, Jung describes the first circuit as the sensational faculty, the second as the feeling faculty, the third the rational faculty, and skipped the social-sexual circuits entirely. There might be a clue here and as to why Jung could not abide Freud's fourth circuit's emphasis and build a separate, less sexual psychology of his own. Jung then went on to lump all the higher circuits under the rubric of the faculty of intuitions. It is the function of the nervous system to focus, to select, to narrow down, to choose from an infinity of possibility. The biochemical imprint which determines the tactic and strategies that ensure survival in one place, status in one tribe. The infant is genetically prepared to learn any language, master any skill, and play any sex role in very short time. However, he or she becomes mechanically, robotically fixated to accept, follow, and mimic limited offering of his social and cultural environment. In this process, each of us pay a heavy price. Survival and status mean forfeiting the infinite possibility of unconditioned consciousness, the opportunity cost. The domesticated primate inside the social reality tunnel is a trivial fragment of the potential for experience and intelligence innate in the 1 billion cells human computer, as Robert Heinlein wrote. A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, design a building, count a sheep, write a sonnet, balance a count, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve an equation, and analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, die gallantly. Specialization is for insects. But as long as we remain on the antique circuits, we are not very different from the insect. That is just as the insects repeat their 4-stage program. Egg, larvae, chrysalis, adult from generation to generation. We repeat our 4-stage cycle also. The antique circuits are genetically conservative. They ensure the survival and continuation of the species, but do no more for future evolution. We must look at futuristic circuits. Summary: circuits origin imprint site Freud, Jung. Names of psychologists: Burns, Sagan, Gurdjieff. 3-4 billion years ago, imprint sites limbic and ants. Freud, oral, Jung, sensation, Burns, natural child, Sagan, reptile brain, Gurdjieff, movement center. 1 million years ago, thalamus muscle, anal, feeling, adapted child, mammal brain, false emotion center, 100,000 years ago, left cortex, larynx, right hand, latency, reason, adult computer, human brain, false intellect center, 30,000 years ago, left neocortex, breast, genitalia, phallic, ignored, parent, ignored, false personality. Uh, it is sometimes mistakenly stated that there are no universal sexual taboos. This is not true. There is one omnipurpose taboo which exists in every tribe. That taboo stipulates that sexuality shall not be unregulated by the tribe. That is, even though no other taboos are universal. The taboo against living without taboos remain constant. Every tribe has its own set of verbots, and you shall not. But no tribe allows the individual to choose his or her own set. An American president might not marry his own sister if he wants to get re-elected. An Egyptian pharaoh had to marry his own sister. Confronted by this moral relativism, many social scientists have failed to notice the invariable both the president and the pharaoh are expected to obey local rules. So are the Samoans, the Russian, the Eskimo, and the Cuban. Why is there this taboo against sexual self-definition and self-actualization? Why is it that while no two societies can agree on what is sexually good and sexually bad, every society thinks that it must make some definition? The Gurdjieff titles are terribly negative, since he was trying to get people out of these primitive circuits into the futuristic circuits. Oh, Gurdjieff. The answer is that our first humanity symbolizing and conceptualizing ancestors were very ignorant, but not at all stupid. They were ignorant of the laws of genetics, but they were smart enough to suspect that such law exists. Sperm-egg fusion is surrounded by violent taboos and fierce tribal conformity because the survival and future evolution of the gene pool depends upon which particular spermatozoa reaches which particular ovum. Etymologists confirm the Freudian theory that there are ancient linkages between the words for sacred, the erotic, the obscene, the awe-inspiring, the awful, the divine, the thrilling. All these are primitive, powerful sociological responses to the mysteries of sexual attraction, mating, reproduction, inheritance, genetic drift, future evolution. The earliest god form found by archaeologists are pregnant goddesses and aetheric gods. The most intolerant, bigoted, and recalcitrant of all prejudices. The very last to fade away after cosmopolitanizing contact with other tribes having different values are the taboos concerning the right way to reproduce. If one nation insists that the head of the state must marry his sister and another insists that he must not, both are acting on assumption that the right way must be found and rigorously enforced. There are unknowns in this area of sexual attraction. He likes her, but she doesn't like him. There are unknowns in the area of mating. A young couple can make love once and a woman becomes pregnant, yet another couple make love for 3 years and the woman remains barren. Very puzzling and frightening for primitives in New Guinea or New Jersey. No, what the fuck is that? Gods and goddesses are sexual and genetic program expressed in primitive symbol. What the hell? There are unknowns in the area of reproduction. Why twins? Why 3 boys in one family and 3 girls in another? Why miscarriages and stillbirths? There are unknown in the area of inheritance. Why doesn't my son look like me? A domesticated primate has wandered uneasily, leading to a great deal of paranoia and male chauvinism. There are unknowns in the area of genetic drifts. Modern researchers recognize 12 or more variables, but still have more questions than answers. There are unknowns in the area of future evolution. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? The title of Gauguin's greatest painting is the basic ontological questions. The totem pole, like the treatise on social biology, is an attempt to answer. Amid all these unknowns of sexual attraction, mating, reproduction, inheritance, genetic drifts, future evolution, the shamans of every tribe try to establish guideposts to tribal gene pool survival. Thus, morality is invented. Sexual attraction, mating, reproduction, inheritance, genetic drifts, future evolution. So morality invented to the moral taboos, the mating, sexual attraction, mating, reproduction, inheritance, and the drift, future evolution. All stochastic processes, that is, processes in which out of a random series, some intelligence or something that can be metaphorically conceived as an intelligence is selecting a final outcome. That these stochastic processes overlap, as shown in our diagram, is intuitively obvious. And it is also obvious that the future is being selected every step of the way. Taboos and morality are tribal attempt to govern the random element to select the desired future. Morality attempt to control stochastic evolutionary process at 2 points interfering between sexual attraction and sexual consummation, mating, by taboos and commandment, or else interfering between mating and reproduction. The latter case is represented by infanticide, widespread birth control measure always justified by local shamans on magical grounds, e.g., the infants selected for sacrifice are breech birth or birth makes or twins are in some way stigmatized by the gods. The actual function of such practices, of course, is population control. And such customs are most common on isolated islands where runaway population would be a disaster. Similarly, the Judaic taboos function to channel all sexuality into increased population, since the ancient Jews were surrounded by large and pugnacious empires eager to conquer them. There needed more boys for soldiers and more girls to breed soldiers. The most idiotic and superstitious taboos from the rationalist viewpoint always had some function when invented. For instance, the most pointlessly elaborate non-genetic incest taboos in which virtually everybody in the tribe becomes unavailable sexually to everybody else, forced exogamy, marriage outside the tribe, This creates affectional alliances, family ties between tribes, and decreases warfare. Something like this primitive exogamy survived into very recent times, in the custom of marrying one royal family to another. Every form of morality is, of course, irksome on some level to everybody because no individual ever has exactly the sexual imprint desired by the tribe. The more sophisticated totem cults, the higher religions, so dubbed by themselves, take account of this. The doctrine atonement in the one form of another, often in one form or another. This allows the individual to be ritually forgiven periodically for not being the perfect sexual robot decreed by tribal morality. This becomes hilarious only when one realizes that most of what domesticated primates are asking their priests to forgive them for consists of what Kinsey so accurately called normal mammalian behavior. Oh, mighty one, please forgive me for wanting to fulfill my biological purpose.